What if a simple glass of water could change the way you think forever?
Now let's start the story. Guys, like this.
Welcome to today's Explainer. Let's just jump right in, because I know your time is super valuable, and honestly, your mind is probably already racing with a dozen different things you need to get done today. Think about it for a second. The emails piling up, the errands, that random conversation from yesterday that you just can't stop replaying in your head. It's just nonstop. It's a completely universal struggle. We're all dealing with this stormy, overactive mind that simply refuses to hit the pause button.
So be honest with yourself here. Does your mind ever feel like an actual storm? Do you ever feel just completely overwhelmed by your own racing thoughts? It's almost like you're a passenger in your own head, right? Just watching these gale force winds of anxiety and regret tear through your consciousness. It is so exhausting. But what if I told you there's a surprisingly simple, truly ancient mechanism to just shut that storm down?
Okay, let's dive into this. To figure out how to heal this restlessness, our source material introduces us to a 24-year-old guy named Marco. Now, Marco's mind was an absolute tempest. He was permanently trapped, swinging like a pendulum between two totally exhausting extremes. On one side, he was just constantly sad about his past. And on the flip side, he was constantly terrified about the future. He was entirely disconnected from the present moment, basically living out his days in the wreckage of yesterday and the fear of tomorrow.
And all this relentless mental time travel, it took a really severe physical and emotional toll on him. Marco couldn't feel calm, he couldn't sleep well, and honestly, the most heartbreaking part is that he had literally forgotten how to smile. His internal reality was just way too loud. And the real kicker here? He was this incredibly distracted, overwhelmed guy, and this story takes place before anyone even had a smartphone constantly pinging them with notifications. The distraction was entirely self-generated. His own mind was doing all the damage.
So, totally desperate for a solution, Marco hears a rumor. People are talking about a faraway village up in the hills, home to this wise old man. But this wasn't just some random hermit. This guy used to be a highly famous psychologist down in the busy city. He'd spent his entire life helping people find peace in their minds. But as he got older, he left the chaotic city life behind for a quiet village close to nature, just occasionally giving advice to folks who actively sought him out. Marco is filled with hope. He thinks, maybe, just maybe, this expert can fix my broken mind. So he packs up and embarks on this long, exhausting journey up into the mountains.
Section 1. The Bizarre Prescription. When Marco finally arrives and desperately begs for help, the old man calmly agrees, but he gives him a very unusual task.
The old man takes Marco out into the yard and hands him a glass of water. But he doesn't just fill it normally. He fills it completely, right up to the very brim. The surface tension is literally the only thing holding the water in. Even the slightest little tremor is going to make it spill over. The prescription is simple. 1. Fill the glass to the brim. 2. Walk from here to the edge of the village and then come back. And 3, and this is absolutely crucial, do not spill a single drop.
Marco is definitely surprised, but he's determined. He accepts the challenge, takes the glass, and steps right out onto the village road. Now, you gotta keep in mind, this is not some perfectly quiet meditation retreat. This village road is narrow, chaotic, and incredibly busy. People are walking and running right past him, bumping shoulders. Shopkeepers are yelling out to their customers. Stray dogs are running around barking super loudly. It is a total sensory overload of a chaotic environment. But amidst all this wild chaos, what does Marco do? His eyes lock solely onto that water. He places one foot in front of the other, moving with just incredible precision. Step by careful step. The villagers actually stop and stare at him in total surprise. Just watching this young man intensely navigating a crowded street with a brimming glass of water. But sensing his deep concentration, nobody disturbs him. They just watch him move, completely absorbed by the task in his hands.
Section 2. The Deconstruction of Focus. Marco makes a triumphant return without spilling a drop, and now it's time for the psychologist to break down exactly what just happened. The old man looks at Marco and hits him with a totally unexpected follow-up question. "That's good," he says, "but tell me, did you see the children playing on the side of the road? Did you hear the dogs barking?" Marco is stunned. He looks back and says, "No, I didn't see or hear anything. I was only focusing on the glass." And boom, right there is the profound psychological breakthrough. On one side, you have a singular focus on the water glass. On the other side, the overwhelming chaos of the village.
Because Marco's entire cognitive load, literally all of his attention and mental processing power, was completely eaten up by balancing that water, he literally did not perceive the chaos around him. The external world didn't change at all, the village was just as loud, but his internal world was transformed because there was simply zero room left for distraction.
And this brilliantly illustrates the core lesson the wise old psychologist wanted to get across. That is the secret, the old man says. Something that was always inside you, but you didn't know. When your mind stays in the present moment, then there is no space for fear, no confusion, and no extra thoughts. I mean, that is the foundational principle of mindfulness, laid out beautifully in one single sentence. So based on the text, we can formally define what Marco is really searching for all along. Inner peace isn't some magical aura you have to go find on a faraway mountaintop. It is simply the state of living entirely in the present moment. It's an internal quietness. It's not the absence of noise in the village, right? It is the absence of past sadness and future fears inside your own head. Peace is already inside us, just waiting to be accessed the second we drop anchor into the now.
So the crucial point here is really the mechanics behind this process. Think about it kind of like a computer CPU. When you were only thinking about the water, when your mental processor was 100% engaged with the exact action you were performing in the present second, your mind became completely quiet. There was literally zero processing power left over to load up sadness about the past or to render fear about the future. By fully engaging the present, you are literally starving anxiety of the mental energy it needs to exist.
It all finally clicks for Marco. He bows his head softly, telling the grandfather he understands. If he wants to calm his mind, he just has to keep it right here in this exact moment. As the sun starts setting, casting its last light on the ground and birds are flying back to their nests, Marco turns to walk back home. But he is not the same restless, tortured young guy who showed up. He's changed. He is completely peaceful inside, finally equipped with the knowledge of how to quiet his own mind whenever the storm tries to roll back in.
Which brings us to the end of our explainer and to this final, really essential question I want to leave you with today. What glass of water will you focus on today? Now, obviously, you don't need to walk around holding an actual glass of water, but what is your daily anchor going to be? Is it the feeling of the steering wheel on your drive to work? Is it the exact taste of your morning coffee? When the storm of the past and future starts howling in your head today, what simple present task will you pour absolutely all of your attention into? Find your glass of water, focus your eyes, and just watch the storm disappear.